So what we're going to cover today is we're going to do a quick data catalog overview for those of you who aren't aware of what data catalog provides. We're also going to go through the 7 features so that you're aware of what we're offering. Then we'll go right into the cloud data catalog, its capabilities, features. Then we're going to talk about user types, which is something that we just rolled out recently. And then we're going to discuss a migration to the cloud example that was done with one of our customers. So let's go ahead and get started then. So just wanted to kind of show everyone, here's the Talend Data Fabric, which is our end-to-end solution. I'm sure those of you that have our products are already aware of what we offer from a solution standpoint. Just kind of wanted to show everyone where in the fabric the catalog shows up. So it's almost right here in the middle, and it's providing that the ability for users to find, use, and trust their data that's within their environment. So as I mentioned, Catalog provides that single source of trusted data to your users. You're able to go in and intelligently discover all of your data that's in your enterprise and environment. You're able to go in and orchestrate data curation and social curation of the different objects in Catalog. And then you're also able to real quickly, with just a few clicks, go in and find your data, use it, and trust it. In addition to providing that single source of data, it also happens with these 4 capabilities. So it provides automated data crawling. So you're able to go out, you're able to harvest data from your different data sources. You can then go in and actually schedule those and automate those harvests. So you can schedule a one-time harvest. You can schedule a harvest every day at the same time. It offers you a variety of options as far as scheduling. The catalog also provides role-based access. This is really important when you want to limit the access to your data and metadata to your users. It also provides end-to-end data lineage, which is important for those of you that have any compliance, PII, sensitive data in your environment. You want to understand where did it come from and where is it being used. And then finally, broad connectivity. So currently we have over 200 bridges that are used to connect to different data sources, which I'll actually cover in the next slide. So as I mentioned, we have the 200 bridges. We're able to harvest, govern, and share metadata throughout your environment. We're able to access BI and analytic tools such as Looker, microanalytics, Tableau, business objects. We're also able to connect to different data sources around big data, such as Hortonworks, Cloudera. We're able to connect to NoSQL, SQL databases, all of the brand name ones, such as Teradata, SQL Server, Oracle. And then we're able to harvest data from different file types. So CSV files, JSON, XML, Avro, Parquet. We're also able to harvest metadata from different modeling tools, such as Irwin and Rational Rows. And then we're able to also harvest from different ETL applications, including our own, but also SSIS and Informatica. It provides a business glossary, which is really important for that shared definition across your ecosystem. So with the business glossary, everyone understands what a customer is, because everyone in your organization has a different idea of what customer is, whether it's your HR, whether it's your IT, whether it's your finance. Everyone's going to have their own definition of customer. And within the catalog, with using the glossary and the shared definitions of the business terms, everyone will have that same definition and understand what that customer means within the catalog. It also is an enterprise data governance solution. So it's able to show you the data lineage throughout your full enterprise. We also have versioning, which is part of the harvesting that I mentioned earlier. So you can create versions as you harvest your data. You can choose to make those public immediately to your users, or you can hold off and you can do comparisons with previous versions to see what's changed and understand what you're making public to your users. And then finally, dashboarding capabilities. We just released these in 7.3. You're now able to go in and do some BI and visualization with the data within the catalog. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and go into the 7.3 features that we released in March. Steve Fazio, please feel free to jump in as I go through these to add any commentary. So first I want to cover is bridges. We've added some new bridges since about the March timeframe. So we have some new bridges for data stores to harvest metadata from Kafka, Databricks, and Azure Data Lake. We also have some new integration ones that we've rolled out around Glue, Denodo, just to name a few. And then finally, business intelligence. We were able to go in and create a bridge for Power BI. I mentioned earlier dashboards. So now you can go in and you can create customizable dashboards. You can share them with your users. It's that quick at-a-glance view of what's happening within the catalog. Different users can create their own dashboards to help them as they use the catalog and help them with their day-to-day tasks. Customizable layouts. So this is something that I know everybody has been asking for in the previous version. So now you can go in and customize the layouts on the screen to drive user experience. So if you're a business user, you may want to only see certain things. You may not want to see that full view that is presented. So we can go ahead and make that user experience a little bit more detailed to your task within the catalog. And then user experience improvements. So for those of you that have older versions of the catalog, there were some challenges with navigation, the home page, things like that. So, and the other thing that we had was we had two user interfaces. We don't have that anymore. We now have one user interface that everyone is going into. So it's the same user experience, same home page. So you're not having to go to two different places if you're that type of user. And then the internationalization that we rolled out with 7.3. So in addition to English, we now support French and Japanese. Okay, so let's now actually go into the Cloud Data Catalog. So Cloud Data Catalog, we saw these 4 features previously. Guess what? All of this is in Talend Cloud. So just to set the stage for everyone, Talend Cloud Data Catalog is the same catalog that you have on-prem. So there's a few nuances which I'll cover in some of the upcoming slides, but it's basically the same catalog. It just happens to be in the cloud as a managed service. So want to share with you the timeline. So what we did is we rolled out an AWS version of Cloud Data Catalog June 25th, which was an exciting day for us to roll out this feature to everyone. We have plans in September to roll out the AWS version for Europe and APAC. And then at this time, we don't have a specific time date as far as when we'll roll out an Azure catalog, but it is coming. So for those of you that would like to have the Azure option, again, we don't have a timeline or a time frame, but it is coming. The architecture, you'll notice that the cloud architecture is much more, it's different than what you see for the on-prem. So what you'll see here is, excuse me. So you can see in this local network part, this is the web browser. So just like you connect to your catalog today, you're going to use it through a web browser. The REST APIs, they're going to be on your local network. And then here in the cloud is where the infrastructure is. So here we have Talend Data Catalog. We have the application. It's bundled with Postgres. So in the cloud version, you'll have a Postgres backend for the database. And then within the cloud version, this may be a new concept for some of you, maybe not, but we have a built-in or embedded metadata harvesting agent that actually has some of the bridges already associated to that agent. Now, what you're seeing over here to the left is if you want to harvest anything that's not in this embedded harvesting agent or something that's behind your firewall, you'll need to create a remote agent in addition to the one that's embedded to access all of the other data source systems that you want to harvest into the catalog, such as your third-party applications behind your firewall or that are not supported in the embedded agent. Okay? Key things to be aware of for the cloud catalog: it's hosted and operated by Talend. So we're the ones managing it, just like we do our Talend Cloud. So you don't have to worry about patches, upgrades, things like that. We will be hosting that and operating that for you and be in charge of that instance. The great thing about this is it's a single tenant model. So you get one instance, there's one instance per customer, so you get your own instance. You go in and you access that, you work on it just like as it is your own. You're not having to be in a multi-tenant situation, which is not what you want to be in. There's going to be a dedicated URL for every single customer. So that way, you know, whichever your company is, you'll have your own URL to access the catalog, again, because you'll have your own instance. It has the same feature set as on-prem, just like I mentioned earlier. The only thing is that the custom branding that's done on your on-prem version via your configuration files, you're not, you'll have to work with support to handle that. You won't have access to that today. And then a lot of the administration screens that are irrelevant for cloud will be disabled. Again, if for some reason you need access to those, you can work with support. But those are a couple of the things to consider. The other thing to note is currently today, Talend Cloud Data Catalog is not linked to any of the other Talend Cloud applications. So if you're going into the cloud and accessing data prep or data stewardship or any of the other cloud applications, you're not able to use the pull down and go into catalog. You'll have to go into catalog as you do today for on-prem, but it will have its own URL. So it is that separate user management, and it's not going to show up in that app switcher or drop down. The other thing to be aware of is, yes, we store all metadata and data samples in the cloud data catalog. So it's going to be in that Postgres database that's bundled that I showed you earlier on the architecture. So there is no hybrid deployment option. Everything will be in the cloud and will be stored in the cloud. Harvesting agents, we talked about that a little bit earlier. So this is where the nuances between the Cloud Data Catalog and the on-prem start to show. So we have 3 different deployment models. So the first one is we have that, as I mentioned before, that embedded agent that's already in the Talend Cloud Data Catalog. It's already set up and running as default, so you don't have to do anything with it. It comes as part of the package. The limited connectivity is what I mentioned before. There's only certain bridges that are part of that harvesting agent. It will automatically be updated when the Data Catalog server is updated through the updates that Talend will perform on the cloud. And it's the preferred choice for any cloud connectivity. So also with this metadata harvesting agent that's embedded, it will connect to all of the different cloud applications, Snowflake and such. So again, it's already provided for you. You just need to go in and do the configuration on the harvesting, and it should be good to go. The next deployment option is the Docker deployment of a remote harvesting agent. This is new as part of Cloud Data Catalog. It's also usable with the current version, the 7.3 version of the on-prem data catalog as well, if you choose this option. There is deployment documentation. The here is help.talend.com, and you want to choose Data Catalog and choose the cloud version, and you'll get that information on how to deploy that there. But it's going to update automatically with a simple restart of the agent. It supports everything but the Windows-specific bridges, so that's one of the things to be aware of with the Docker deployment. And it's also the preferred choice if not Windows-specific, and if the embedded agent is not usable for whatever reason. You can use the Docker deployment method. And then finally, the manual installation of a remote harvesting agent. So similar to the existing process of how you guys do it today for your on-prem data catalog for accessing those sources behind your firewall, it's going to require a manual download and installation, and then a manual installation of your patches. This is the default choice if none of the above are applicable. Again, all of this information is out on help.talend.com if you guys have any further questions around that. Couple things to just be aware of for the Cloud Data Catalog around its policies and SLA. So currently the uptime SLA is 99% for now. As we bring on new customers into the cloud, we look to increase that to 99.9%, but for now it's at 99%. There's going to be planned updates such as patches, upgrades, and such. They'll do that for every account every other Monday. So that's the cadence for the upgrades and the patches. If you have specific updates that need to be applied, you can work with us and we can schedule those. There's also a dedicated trust page. So you can go in, you can actually see what's happening with the cloud. You can see if it's up or down, what exactly is happening on the cloud instance, which is very nice. It's a quick way to see if you're having any issues with your cloud instance. And then security white paper. So for those of you that have any questions around security, the architecture, and making sure that that fits within your security policies, we do have a security white paper available. So please reach out to your sales rep for that. And then user type. So one of the things that we did recently is we've changed the user type. So for those of you that are current catalog customers, we had just the one user type with the licensing. We now have two user types. So we now have an administrator user type and a consumer user type. The administrator user can pretty much do any adds and edits. So they would add and edit assets such as data sets, the glossary, the semantic types, custom attributes. They would also perform the administrative tasks such as managing the users, the groups, the configurations. So again, that's what the administrative user can do. Now you're wondering what the consumer user can do. What they can do is they can search for catalog assets and access them. They can go ahead and access data sets, glossary items, and terms. They can access data lineage. They can contribute to social curation. So they can go in and they can comment, they can certify, they can endorse, they can warn against the different objects as you can do today in the catalog. They can create a custom user interface layout for themselves. So they can go in and on certain pages, they could change that layout to only see what they need to see or want to see. And they can also share that with others. And then they have grant access to related APIs. So for those of you that know, the catalog comes with REST APIs. so they can grant access to those APIs. So what they can't do is basically what we talked about for the administrative user. So they're not going to be able to add or edit the assets, and they're not going to be performing an administrative task. So they're pretty much a read-only user, except for the social curation piece. Steve, do you want to provide maybe some background on these user types and why we did these?
Yeah, sure. So typically in a data catalog enterprise scenario, you do have folks that are especially business users, we like to call them. A lot of people say read-only users, they say consumers, whatever the word we use, it's the people that are actually using, the end users that are actually using a catalog. They're not the administrators, they're not going out and creating assets or lineage or profiling data or setting up access or any of that kind of stuff. These are the people that just want to use it. I just want to read. I want to read what a term means. I want to understand and do a search on where all my reports are. That's what the consumer does. And we felt that it wasn't really a great idea to have folks pay the same money to license a simple read-only user as a high-powered admin user. So we created these packs, so you can go out and get literally packs of users. I think it starts at 50, 100, and it's a significant, with huge, bold, quoted word cost savings to now be able to empower a complete organization to start utilizing that data governance catalog. So that's why we did it. And again, most folks don't really need 100 admin users. So there was no need to go out and have people pay for 100 admin users if 95 of those were consumers. So, and as soon as we did this, of course, our customers and the folks that are our current data catalog users just absolutely loved it. And that was one of the biggest things keeping them from really deploying that, right? It was cost prohibitive to deploy that out. And that's really how the catalogs, not just our catalog, but any catalog is going to be successful so people can actually use it. So not rocket science, but it actually is tremendous. So for all of you on the phone on this call, if you're thinking about one of the reasons why you don't want to roll this out to the enterprise, that roadblock is gone.
Great, thanks, Steve. Appreciate it.
Hope that answers your question.
Yeah. So now we kind of like to talk about a customer that actually migrated to the cloud. And definitely, Steve, I definitely would like your take on this as well to share with everyone on the call. So basically, this is an example. So we have one of our customers, and Steve can go into more detail, but we have one of our customers who is an on-prem customer. They wanted to be the first to migrate to cloud, which was really exciting for us. So basically, they work with our professional services. They use some of the backup and restore features that are already within the catalog, and they were able to take their migration, they were able to migrate to the cloud, and they were able to go in and be able to use the catalog in less than half a day's worth of effort. Steve, do you want to add some more color to that as well?
Sure. So I have to say that this customer is a tremendous success story. They understood exactly what the needs of their end users were. They understood exactly where all the data sources were. They had resources dedicated to making this successful. So that was the main thing. They started off very small and very focused to understand what that use case was. And in a matter of days, once we talked to them about the cloud catalog, they couldn't get on it fast enough because they understood they didn't want to spend time doing updates, fix packs, just like with any technology, no matter how good it is, that takes time and resources. They didn't want to spend any time. And like anything with the cloud, that's the number one thing. And I think that quote just said, he told me that was his quote over the phone. He goes, yeah, it's like having kids without having to change the diapers, right? So it kind of says it all. Now they're spending 100% of their time actually building out dashboards and building out different configurations to satisfy all their different domains in that organization. So I mean, literally weekly, they're just exponentiating the use of their catalog. And what he said was they couldn't, and his exact words, and you don't hear this very often, he couldn't be more happier than how it's turned out. They have had zero problems, obviously, with the updates and all the fixes. They get everything without having to ask for it. So tremendous, it's a tremendous testament of how the cloud, just in general, we didn't invent the cloud, obviously, but just having this cloud, the catalog being exactly the same product, that would be it's exactly the same product as being in the cloud, being on-prem rather. So there's zero learning curve, and there is zero related to migrate's a piece of cake.
Right. Thanks, Dave. And that's one thing to note. Granted, this company took less than half a day's effort of work, but be aware that your situation may be different. So our recommendation is professional services can help you with your migration, and they should be able to help you through the effort, the duration, and make sure you're successful.